Alright, let's get started with Chapter 4. So Chapter 4 is all about matrices, and so 4.1 will just be kind of introducing those, and then we're going to organize some data into matrices. So here's what we're up to: identifying matrices and their elements, and then taking data and organizing it into matrices. Two new vocabulary terms for today: the term matrix and matrix elements. So be on the lookout for those as we move through the section. Alright, so couple skills that you will need in this section, and I'm just going to let you look through this and see if you can answer these questions based on this chart right here. So go ahead and pause the video for a second, answer these questions, and when you're ready to move on, go ahead and press play. Alright, so let's dive right in here. Identifying matrices. So a matrix, and the plural of matrix is matrices, right, is a rectangular array. So we can see an example down here. It's in a rectangle of numbers written within brackets. We have the brackets, and then we've got the numbers on the inside. You represent a matrix with a capital letter, so this matrix we're calling A, and classify it by its dimensions. This matrix here is a 2 rows by 3 columns matrix. We always say the rows first, then the columns. So 2 by 3. All right, and saying that here, the number of horizontal rows and vertical columns determine the dimensions. So 2 by 3 for this matrix. Alright, so example 1, the first thing we got to do is write the dimensions, and so this one is how many down? 3. How many across? 3, so this is a 3 by 3. 1 down, 3 across, so 1 by 3. 4 down, 1 across, it's a 4 by 1, and that's all there is to it for the dimensions of a matrix. See if you can tell me the dimensions for A, B, and C. Alright, so once we've gotten the dimensions of a matrix, we can identify every number inside a matrix by its matrix element. Alright, I'm sorry, each piece, each number inside a matrix is a matrix element. You can identify a matrix element by its position. Alright, and so for that we use subscripts, little tiny numbers. As an example right here. So if we have the element A13, not 13, but 13. 1 is different than 3 because 1 is what row we're in. So we're in the top row, the very first row. The 3 means we got to go over to the third column. So first row, third column, A13 is number 3. If we changed it to A23, it'd be 15. Right? So it's just, we're able to identify every single element in a matrix. Alright, so using this matrix here, matrix A, see if you can tell me each of these different matrix elements. What are they? Alright, so once we have matrices, we can take a bunch of random data and organize them nicely with our rectangular matrices. So, here's an example. Alright, so energy is often measured in British thermal units, known as BTUs. We want to take all this information, this data, and rewrite it in a matrix. Alright, and we're going to estimate the values. So there's two things going on here. There's production and consumption. And so when we have two different items, we can go 2 different columns for 3 different rows, right? 3 different countries here. And then we just match everything up. So what's China's production? If we looked on the graph, it would be 33, right? We're just estimating. And the consumption is a little higher, so 34. And we can pull all the rest of the numbers right off the graph and organize them. So now we have a nice organized representation of the numbers represented in this chart here. So knowing that now, let's take our matrix and see if you can answer questions A, B, and C. Alright, last example here, we've got some information about the gymnastics team, the U.S. Olympic gymnastics teams from 2000. Couple ladies here that competed and their scores in the different events here: floor, vault, balance beams, uneven bars. Alright, so if we had to write a matrix W to represent this, it'd be a 4 by 4, and these are the numbers that would go into our matrix. So this would be our matrix representing this information. Alright, so which element represents Kristen Maloney's score on the volt? So let's go over here. Maloney, so that's 3, third down, so our answer here is W, because we're in matrix W. Third row, and which column talks about the volts? Second one over, so it would be W, 3, 2 would be our answer. And then it says Kristen Maloney scores are in the third, oh sorry, this is our answer. Copy the answer on here. So there we go, W, 3, 2 is our score on the vault. Alright, so let's wrap this up. Go ahead and answer these questions based on this information here for the men's gymnastics team. And anything that doesn't make sense, we'll make sure we go over it in class.